Hello, and on today's podcast we will be interviewing Mr. Walker, who is a train driver. Mr. Walker, what made you decide to do train driving? Was it a childhood dream?
Well, my dad worked on the railway, so we often used to travel on the trains when I was young. So I did have an interest in being a train driver when I was little. But then sort of in my teens, I was looking at doing other things. But I came back to it in my early 20s. I thought, actually, I could do that. I think it's something that I'd be able to do. So I started looking into it.
What role did you need to take on before you became a professional train driver?
Before becoming a train driver, I used to do timetable planning for the railway. So I was working on the railway before, but I worked for a different company. I suppose it helped. I had a bit of an idea about how the railway worked. I got a job with another company when I became a trainee driver. So it wasn't a promotion. It was a separate company that I went and applied for. There were quite a few people on my training course who hadn't been on the railway at all. So there were some who'd been promoted internally, but there were also people who had come from outside the railway completely. There was a guy who'd been a paramedic. There was someone who'd been a forklift truck driver in a factory. So and where I work now, there's plenty of people who haven't been on the railway when they come into train driving. I know someone who used to be a carpet fitter, someone who used to work for McDonald's. So there's quite a large range of people coming from all sorts of other jobs, really. Whilst it helps, really, if you've got a job on the railway, it helps in that you get to see the internal job vacancies before they get sent out externally. So you've sort of got a chance of seeing when vacancies come up before people who work outside the industry do. So that's helpful. It's probably better if you can get on the railway first. But if you don't work on the railway, there's still nothing stopping you from applying.
What pieces of advice would you give to a budding train driver?
Be happy with your own company. You'll be working on your own quite a lot. So if you're all right working by yourself for long periods of time, then that's something to bear in mind, really.
What was the education route you had to take?
I had 5 GCSEs, C and above, and some A-levels. But I think it was just the GCSEs that I needed.
What was your first official journey as a train driver?
First trip as a qualified driver, that was Nottingham to St Pancras with a high-speed train.
What is one thing you dislike about this job?
The hours sometimes I dislike. I don't really like getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning or finishing at 2 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes that's hard work and can get on your nerves sometimes.
What is one thing you like about this job?
I like going to work and just being left to get on with it, really. I turn up, off I go, and then at the end of the day I come home and that's it. I haven't got any sales targets to make. I haven't got a supervisor looking over my shoulder all the time. I'm just trusted to get on with it. So I like that. I like being able to just get on with it on my own. So that's a good thing.
How long did you have to train for? Was this a normal time period?
It took just under a year. That's quite average, really. Looking at about 12 to 15 months. It can be done slightly quicker, but yeah, about a year.
If you could change one thing about this job, what would you change?
People killing themselves on the railway or trying to. It's not something I've been directly involved with, fortunately. But some of my colleagues have been affected by events like that. There was someone I used to work with. He hit a person at a foot crossing, and it turned out it was his next door neighbour's son. So that wasn't a nice position to be put in. There's been other colleagues who've had people jump off footbridges and come through the windscreen. So if we could get rid of that side of it, like I say, I've not had to deal with that myself, but that is something that happens. It would be much better if it didn't.
And finally, what was your day like pre-COVID? Has it changed much during the coronavirus situation?
Before COVID, the trains were really quite busy quite often, even late at night. Whereas now they're a lot more quieter, although they have the numbers of people have picked up since the first lockdown. They've gradually been getting more and more people each day, but they're still quiet compared to what they used to be. There's a lot more cleaning going on the trains, and the special antiviral spray is used as well on them that prevents viruses from sticking around on handrails and things like that. The cleanliness has been improvements. The number of people is a lot less than it was at the moment.
Thank you for your time for this interview, Mr. Walker. I hope you join us again soon. Goodbye. Thank you for listening.